This is a tutorial on how to create this green screen phone pull-out transition.
All my ladies, pop your backs with it. Ladies, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it.
The difficulty level is a 3 out of 5, and the techniques used include speed ramping, green screen, and keyframing. The app that I will be using to demonstrate is CapCut. You could easily do this on other apps as well, but I do find that CapCut's green screen seems to be the easiest to work with and the most precise. Here are some examples of how to apply this to your niche. Pause to read, and let's get into it. So for this tutorial, you're going to need a few clips. This is the first one that we started with. This video doesn't loop, so this is just the first pull out video. And then moving on to the second pull out video. Ideally, you should fill the entire frame with the green screen and then pull out. However, he doesn't fully fill the green screen here, so don't worry, we'll tell you how to fix that later. And then pull out like this. It's actually a very slow movement in pulling out because he is trying to keep me very centered, and it's done with a gimbal. So you'll notice that I'm almost always very centered, and even if you speed this up, it doesn't feel too wobbly, right? This is because he really looked at the grid on the phone and made sure to keep me roughly in the same spot. This is very important. If you are filming this, even if you have a gimbal, if you're not keeping the person in the same spot in the frame by referencing the grid built in the camera, then it will still look very jumpy. Moving on to the next clip right here. Again, you could go closer to the green screen, that is preferable, and then pull out from here. Again, trying to keep the character in the middle. And here's the next one. This one is even further, so we're gonna really have to zoom in and make some keyframes here. And then the last clip is this one. So that's looking very nice. The person is nice and centered. Keep in mind, this is absolutely crucial for a smooth looking pull-out video. If you do not keep the person centered in the same place, same height within the frame like this, it's not gonna look smooth, okay? Very, very important. So I do recommend you use a gimbal for this particular movement. And if you need a recommendation, I have it inside the gear list, which is inside the bonus part of this course. Now this is what it looks like when he's using the gimbal, and he comes up really close to the green screen and he will pull out from here. And we didn't end up using this clip because the space was really limited. Like you can see he's going back like this. You really shouldn't have to. You should pick locations that are more like this, where you can keep moving back without any obstruction. Now let's add all of these clips into CapCut and start editing it. Okay, so I'm going to first trim the clips. So this is the first clip, it's looking nice. And then I'm going to trim the beginning to when he starts pulling out. So right here, when he starts pulling out, I'm gonna delete the beginning part. Also, I'm just gonna remove all of the audio for all of them because we're gonna add music later on. And then we can trim it here. We really don't need to go that far because the subject becomes really, really tiny. Again, let's trim the beginning of this. Roughly from here. Split and delete the first part. I think we can trim the rest from here. And then, again, from here, split and delete the beginning. Okay, and we can split, delete the rest. Split, delete the beginning. Split, delete the rest. Okay, now that we have roughly trimmed all of the clips, let's start overlaying them. So this is the first clip. We can keep it at this normal speed as it looks good. Also, I'm going to extract the audio of this particular video so that we can match the speed of the videos to the clip. So I'm going to go to Audio, Extract, and I'm going to pick this audio and just put it in. So it starts here.
All my ladies, pop your backs with it.
So this is when the first pullout should happen. All right, so now let's go in and make this first one an overlay. Move it forward in the timeline so that we know roughly when the beat drops, the video clip starts coming in. So let's find where the beat drops, right here, and let's move it forward. Okay, looks like we have it in the right place. Now what we want to do is speed ramp it first, and then we'll remove the green screen later. So right now I just want to go into speed, curve, and custom. And let's customize the speed ramp. I would say the beginning part, you can increase it just by a little bit so that you can still see that it's coming out of the phone. So if it's too fast, you can't even tell that there was a transition, right? And then the rest of it, because he was moving very slow to keep it stable, we can speed it up a good bit more, maybe like 2 point something X. So let's take a look. Maybe we can speed up this a little bit. Looks pretty good. Now we can go in and really make sure that the green screen is full screen right here. We can add a keyframe and then just zoom in a little bit on the green screen, okay? Now you can see it's pretty much full screen. And then we can just move forward in the timeline and then zoom out a little so it's not so cropped in. Move forward a bit and then zoom out a little again. And I think the rest should be good. I think that's good enough. So it looks like this. Timing wise, I think it looks fine. Okay, now let's go in and remove the green screen. So with this keyframe selected, and you can zoom in more on the timeline to see, go to remove background, choose chroma key, and let's just select any green and just increase the intensity for now. We're going to have to make adjustments later, as you'll see. Right now that looks fine, but look at what happens to the background. So you'll notice that the statue in the fountain, it's also green, so now it got deleted. Looks like the water inside the fountain got deleted, so we need to fix this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into, let's say, this keyframe, because this keyframe you can see all of the colors that got deleted, and then go back into remove background, chroma key, and just select the phone again like this, and go back and reduce the intensity all the way down to maybe like 3 or 4, and then play with the shadow. So you see when I increase the shadow, it helps to fix the statue area in the shadows where there is some green. Okay, so this is looking good. Now, one thing to understand is with these keyframes with your green screen, you cannot change the color that you picked in terms of what green. However, with each keyframe, you can adjust the intensity and shadow. That does help with each frame. So let's see right now, you have this intensity as much lower here. This one is still very high, so let's go in here and let's go into chroma key and let's reduce the intensity to here. So you can see what was in the phone, what's in the lower layer beneath this layer, but you can also still see everything outside of the phone, like the statues, color, etc. Okay, now let's go back. I think we need to also add another keyframe here and go in and adjust the intensity. Let's reduce it a little bit. Even if you can see a little bit of green in the screen, I'm not too bothered because I know it's moving very fast. Play around with this. Okay. And then you can go into here if you want. Add another keyframe because you can see most of the dress got deleted. Go back to chroma key, lower the intensity, and then there. Now that's looking pretty decent. So you do need to experiment a little bit with what type of green to use for this. And with each keyframe, you can go in and adjust the intensity of the chroma key. But you cannot change the color of your chroma key. Just understand that. You can only change the intensity with each keyframe, but not the color. When you change the color, it just changes the color for the entire video, and sometimes if you don't pick the right color, it will have very like funky results. Okay, I just found this spot in the timeline where you can still really see a lot the background being removed, the statue having its green removed. So I'm going to go back in and add a keyframe, and I'm going to go remove background chroma key and just reduce the intensity some more. Okay, that looks good. Now let's play this video from the beginning. That looks good. Okay, now we just need to go back and do that pretty much for every layer. So let's go to the next one, overlay it, and bring it over here. And you want to match it to where the beat starts. Okay, this is a good spot, roughly here. And then let's speed it up. Okay, that speed-wise looks good. Now we have to zoom in on the green screen and then keyframe the size of the green screen. Okay, so let's zoom in, and just at least most of the screen is covered. It doesn't have to be like fully covered. You can see the corners, but it's okay because it's going to move so fast. Okay, and then just move forward in the timeline, reduce the size, maybe also center the subject. Now you don't want to do too much too quickly, or else it will look really funky, like it suddenly zooms out. So you want to do it every few keyframes, you zoom out. Okay, and let's just also, while we are doing this, try to keep the subject centered. Okay. So did you notice how it jumped a lot? It's because this zoom out was really too fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce some of the keyframes, and let's take a look. I think the zoom out was still a bit too fast, so I'm going to go in and just make less keyframes and have it zoom out less aggressively. So let's take a look. Okay, I also think that the subject is not centered in some of the parts here, like maybe here. I'm just going to go in and try and center it a little bit. I think that's better. Maybe we can also switch up the speed. Let's see if that will help. Yeah, that's much better. Now that I sped up the part that was a little like jaggedy feeling, like it felt a little bumpy, it looks much better with the speed. Okay, so now we're going to go back in and do the same thing with the green screen. So just go in and select remove background chroma key and just pick the green and increase the intensity. Overall, I think it looks fine with the green screen, because you'll notice that there isn't too much green in the rest of the frame, so it doesn't affect the other colors. So I think we're okay with this. We don't need to make huge adjustments in each keyframe. I still feel like it looks a little bumpy, so what I'm gonna do is just maybe move this up or down. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better. So what I did just now was I just moved the position of me in each keyframe to try and make sure that as it zooms out like this, it roughly doesn't like jump up and down because we are speeding this up a lot. So you want to be careful when you speed ramp a lot. You want to make sure that the subject is still centered, it's stabilized, and so on. Okay, now this is looking good, and let's go to our next video and go and overlay it. Let's move it forward in the timeline. Let's find the part where the beat drops. I actually think we can speed up the beginning of this phone pullout. Just felt a bit slow. So I've lined up this next video to the place where the next beat drops. And now we're going to go in, and looks like it got moved to the bottom layer. So I'm going to go to layer and make sure to bring it to the front. And what we're going to do is do the same thing, speed it up again. Okay, the speed is looking good. Now you'll notice that with this clip, it really needs to be zoomed in a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that keyframe, really zoom in on this green screen, yeah? Just try to put it in the middle. And then as we move out, we really want to make sure we zoom out. Let's take a quick look first. Let's take a quick look. I think it looks okay. I just don't love that somehow it goes really far to the side here. So I'm gonna have to really move it. Okay, let's play that again. I think it's okay. It's a little bit jumpy. So maybe we want to speed it down just a bit, maybe in the beginning parts, because I think because the camera person was moving up some stairs, so it was really hard for him to keep me centered in this instance. Yeah, I think that's better. Now let's just play it from the beginning, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll go and remove the green screen.
Ladies, pop your backs with it. Ladies, pop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my
Looks great. Now let's go in and let's handle this green screen. This one should be fairly easy because there isn't too much other green in the frame. So I'm just going to choose whichever keyframe. Go to chroma key, pick this green and adjust the intensity. Let's see. All right, I think that looks fine. Let's just check each frame. Ooh, okay, we need to adjust the intensity for sure for the beginning keyframe because it's still very, very green. So go to remove background, chroma key, intensity, and increase it all the way. Okay, that's good. And as it pulls out, that's looking good. Good, 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 good. Great. Okay, that was a really easy one because there's no green at all. So. All right, now let's move on to, I believe, the last clip. And just repeat the same steps. That looks really good, and I think this is a good spot to end it because the music also sort of comes to an end. So let's just trim all these And then now we just need to go in and fix the green screen. Now what I love about this particular one is he already put the green screen really close, filled the frame, so I'm not even going to make any adjustments here. I'm just going to go in and remove the background and pick this color, increase the intensity, and let's hope that it works. And it works very nicely for everything else in the frame because there isn't much of a green in it. Okay, so actually that's it for this reel. Just want to make sure everything is smooth and matching to the beat, so I'm going to play it one more time. Okay, honestly, I think it's weird that this part was so slow because it just doesn't feel like it's on the same tempo as the other ones. So I'm going to go in and just speed it up and see how we can make it match the others better.
All my ladies, pop your backs with it. Ladies, pop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it.
Okay, I think that's much better. Okay, one more thing I also noticed is that sometimes it's still quite visible, the green. So I'm just going to go in and just make some adjustments to the intensity of the chroma key, the green screen. Okay, especially this part, I noticed that it's most affected by the green screen. We really need to go in and increase the intensity here. Okay, that is better with this green screen now that I've increased the intensity of it, but I just still feel like it's kind of jumping around a bit, so I'm going to try and fix that by just moving the keyframes around, adjusting the sizing, the positioning. So this requires a bit of experimentation.
Pop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it.
Okay. Okay, definitely still need to make some adjustments to the intensity here. Okay, that looks good. Alrighty, now the last step is simply to export it.
All my ladies, pop your backs with it. Ladies,